Okay, so not one, not two, not three, not four, but five. That's right, five new arrivals at kind of Ibrox this summer. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But instead of me talking about it, I've actually got a fan's view on the whole stadium debacle. We're going to discuss what that fan had to say. This is a fan that lives in the city of Glasgow and is a season ticket holder. We're going to look obviously at the great news that Connor Barron has now arrived, and we have got the scarf and shirt picture for you. And we're going to talk about as well the impending arrival of Hamza Igamane, the young Moroccan striker, the young, talented, up-and-coming Moroccan striker. So I think, the only place to really start is with the fantastic news that the signing of Connor Barron is now official, and there we go. It is now 100% official because there he is with the shirt and with the scarf. So, like we always say, until the scarf is held above the head, it is not official. But there we go. It is now 100% official. Connor Barron is a Rangers player. A fantastic move by the club. A great signing by the club. Top quality player. I think has got the potential to go on and develop into being a very, very talented player. Got to say as well, absolutely love the boot colours. It's blue and orange in the boots. Fantastic. Looks brilliant in the Rangers away shirt. No doubt will look as good in the home top as well when that is released. I think it's the 1st of July. The home shirt is finally released. Cannot wait to see that and get my hands on one. Obviously, we will be putting in that expenditure straight away once it is out. So what have the manager Niels Koppen and Connor Barron had to say about the arrival of Connor's arrival at the club and the signing of him by Clement and Koppen. Well, Connor Barron obviously spoke about his arrival. This is what he said. He said, "I'm absolutely delighted. As soon as I started talking to the club, I knew that this was the place for me. Everything seemed right, and I think this is the best place for me to be at this moment in my career. It's a club where the demand is high to win football matches and trophies, and that is something that I really want to be part of. It was a massive decision for me, but it's made it easy by speaking to the staff and to the manager, and now I cannot wait to get started." Great words there from Connor Barron. Lots of things to pick out from that statement that he's made about joining Rangers. He obviously is aware, as we know, and I think this is one of the things that people have talked about, the reason to have Scottish players, isn't it? That they're aware of the expectancy when you join Rangers, is to be successful, is to win trophies, is to win games. There is obviously a very high standard expected of our players, something I think our players have fallen way below in past seasons. But Connor Barron, I think, is quite clear on what the expectation is. It's good as well, that he's been obviously, clearly persuaded by the staff after speaking to Philippe Clement, to Niels Koppen, no doubt, to Stefan van der Heyden, and to some of the other players as well at the club. So I think, it's good that obviously they played a role in helping bring him to the club, and he's obviously very clear about what is needed from him, what his expectations are. And, I think, he will be involved in the first team from day one. I think that is very, very clear indeed. Now, Director of Football Niels Koppen has also been speaking about Connor. He said that it's important that young Scottish talents play a big part in the years ahead, and we are delighted to add a talented midfielder in Connor to the ranks at Rangers. He's a player that we've directly competed against on the pitch in recent years, and through his hard work and dedication, we believe he will be a real asset to this club. It's interesting, isn't it, that Niels Koppen is stating, that again, the young Scottish talent has a big part to play in the development of Rangers going forward. I think that's what a lot of fans want to hear. A lot of fans want to hear that that we're going to invest in a core of Scottish players, whether that is obviously by going out and buying them like Connor Barron. Well, we didn't buy him, we paid a compensation fee. Obviously bringing them through our academy, like the likes of Robbie Fraser, Cole McKinnon, Zach Lovelace, Ross McCausland, for example. Those types of players that are coming up. I think it's good that Niels Koppen clearly sees that there is a need for that Scottish core to this team. Fantastic signing. Fantastic signing. Philippe Clement, the manager, also spoke as well about Niels Koppen. But not about Niels Koppen, he didn't. He spoke about Connor Barron, sorry. He said that Connor is a young, talented player with the right mentality who's already gathered a lot of top experience in the Scottish Premiership and in Europe. It's interesting, isn't it, that Philippe Clement uses that word mentality. I think that's something that he's clearly identified is lacking in this Rangers squad and has held this Rangers squad back from going on to be successful. So I do think that is it's a clear, isn't it? A clear statement there that he feels that Connor Barron has that mentality to win, that mentality to compete, to succeed. So great words there from Philippe Clement about the new signing. I think, personally thinking, this is a great signing. This is a top signing, a top player. Someone who I think will go on to be very, very good indeed. Last season, 24 Premiership appearances, 1 goal, 2 assists, 6 Conference Leagues. I did play European football, 5 in the Premiership relegation. Obviously, Aberdeen were bottom 6 last season. 4 in the SFA Cup, 3 in the League Cup, 1 goal last season, 3 assists in 42 appearances. He's quite clearly built up some experience in the Scottish League. I think this is something that will stand him in good stead as he joins the club. And we wish him all the very best and welcome him, obviously, to Rangers. Like I said, I'm buzzing about this. Really pleased with the arrival of Connor Barron to Rangers. Well, it looks as though the young Moroccan Hamza Igamane will join Rangers very soon indeed. Reports have it, and official reports from official sources have it that Igamane will join on a long-term contract for £1.5 million. He's expected to arrive in Glasgow within the coming days to sign for the club. There's a few people on social media. I know social media is not always the best place to look, drawing similarities to Alfie's arrival from HJK Helsinki. Obviously, Igamane comes from Morocco after having played for Rabat. It's interesting that there was a comparison made between the Moroccan League and the bottom of the Scottish Premiership in terms of competition level. That was an interesting that I read from someone who is involved with Moroccan football the other day. Interesting indeed. But in terms of Igamane, in terms of the type of player we are getting a striker who is young, he is quick, he is hungry, he is determined to succeed. And he follows a lot of Moroccan players who, as soon as they have any element of success within the Moroccan game, move to Europe. That is the way it works. And you look at Ziyech, you look at some of those other players that have come through and developed and obviously gone on to play at the top level. So look, this is how they do it, and this is a very talented, very highly rated young player, someone who has been talked about in terms of the best under 23 players in the world at this moment in time. Has been talked of very highly in Morocco. He's played under 23 football for Morocco, and is expected to move to the full Moroccan national team sooner rather than later. In terms of him, one of the coaches within the Moroccan setup talked a little bit about Hamza Igamane. He said the young players in Morocco are very instinctive in the way they play. There is a lot of young talent, but most of them look to move abroad as soon as they get the chance. He says that there's a lot of talk about Hamza in Morocco. He's playing at a good club at Rabat, one of the better clubs in Morocco, and has been starting the last couple of seasons. Hamza is also part of the Moroccan under-23s and the Moroccan Olympic team. He has clear talents and a lot of potential. We talked about the fact that Hamza obviously will feature a little bit of a challenge adapting to the Scottish game, as the Scottish game obviously is a lot more physical and quicker than the Moroccan game. But it was said that Hamza has the right attitude to obviously adopt that, to work hard on that, and to improve himself. He is a player who likes to get better, who likes to improve himself, who likes to work on things. Sees development as very important. He said that basically, he talked about the fact that there is a lot of talent within Morocco. You look at the team that got to the semi-finals in the World Cup in Qatar. Obviously, he was not part of that. Hamza Igamane. He says, that side, it was very strong. He talks about the under-23s now that are coming through Morocco have been very strong, and the fact that obviously Igamane is part of that. You talk about the fact that semi-final team, most of that, obviously, that team play outside of Morocco, and that is the way, obviously, that Igamane is going as well. You see, the coach, the youth coach for Morocco said that it's not an easy move to make. It's a very different style of football and he's used to. It can be fast and furious in Scotland, but Hamza is young and will be keen to learn. It's an exciting move for him, and I have no doubts that he will be a success. So, it's good news. It's positive news about him. He can play as a striker. He can play as a winger. He's quick. He knows where the goal is. He's a player who can only get better and only get more talented. I think this is a very good signing. This is another player that, say, 3-4 years down the line, we can flip for a lot of cash. So again, very positive. And this is 5 signings, 5. This is all exactly what we need in this rebuild. And I know what people are saying about bringing in experienced talent. I think that may well come once the Euros are over. I think there's a lot of movement not taking place because of the European Championships. Teams are keeping their powders dry. You can't talk to players who are away with national teams because the national team managers do not want scouts and agents and people going in and talking to their players whilst they're meant to be focusing on international football. Whatever your thoughts and feelings are on that. Well, obviously news broke yesterday that Rangers would not be able to use Ibrox for the start of the season, and I made a video yesterday and made my thoughts exactly clear. Apparently, the head project manager for this redevelopment has now been sacked. I would suggest a few more heads need to roll rather than just his. I would indicate that John Bennett is very responsible in this. James Bisgrove, obviously, who's now moved on, also very responsible in this. The situation is that Rangers, knew the dates for this. They knew the timings for this. The reason they've bought steel from Asia rather than from Europe is because it's cheaper, rather than pay a little bit of extra to get the steel here on time. They've gone on the cheap again. I think that's very telling from the board that they do seem to want to do everything on the cheap. Like I said, I've got a lot of distrust of this board. I will keep my powder dry on them until the transfer window is over, and we see where we're at in terms of our signings, and obviously after the first few games of the season. But in terms of infrastructure redevelopment, in terms of this, again, it's another example of very amateur management of the club, very amateur project management, very amateur purchasing ideas from the club, and it's not good. It's not good enough for a club our size, for a club that is one of the biggest in Europe, to going into August and going into the start of the season, the vital start of the season, and into the Champions League qualifiers, without the Ibrox noise, I think is ridiculous, and it's really is negligent of the board to be there. Now, obviously, Murrayfield has been spoken of as the most likely destination, which is 48 miles away in Edinburgh, which I think is wholly unacceptable. Hampden is obviously unavailable because obviously the wear and tear on the pitch. The pitch is being raised and taken up after the concerts that take place over the summer. So Hampden's out of question. So, what? And I found it, and I know Rangers fans travel from all over, and I understand that, and that's fine. But there's fans within the city of Glasgow, obviously, that scrimp and save for their season tickets and their tickets, who will struggle to make the journey to Edinburgh. I've had a couple of fans in Northern Ireland again state that they may find this impossible to make the journey to Edinburgh because of the cost and other practicalities. So this is the club again ignoring the fan. This is again the club not looking after the supporters, and it'd be interesting to see if they put some scheme in place to compensate fans who are unable to attend games because they're not in Glasgow. It obviously interferes with travel plans, it raises their expenditure at a time where money is short in this country at this moment in time. The average family is some, what I think it was read the other day, £13,000 worse off than it was 10 years ago. This is a country that is really struggling economically. So this is a country that that families, real hardworking British families, struggle. And again, it's an example of the board not looking after these supporters, these good, hardworking Rangers fans. Now, I had a very interesting comment from one of the viewers of my channel. I wanted to share this with you, and he asked for my thoughts on this. this was the comment that was made. It's a very interesting comment indeed. Like I said, I wanted to share this with you and talk a little bit about what this supporter, this real genuine season ticket holder, had to say about this absolute farce that is taking place at the club. And I think, like I said, it's interesting that this is a season ticket holder, someone who regularly attends the game. So he said, "Hey, I'm in great content as usual. Thank you, obviously, to Stephen for that. So as a long-time season ticket holder who lives just south of Glasgow, now I, for one, will have to use seat sub for all the games played at Murrayfield. Now, as you don't get 100% return on this system, I feel that this is unacceptable. Edinburgh is also unacceptable. This makes games about 3 times more expensive and also the travel times more. So hopefully the club can come up with some sort of compensation for us loyal fans. But as my jersey scheme has already proven, there is no loyalty to the fans who supported the team throughout the journey back to the top division. What are your thoughts on this?" Well, Stephen, I've got to agree with you. I do think that the club do need to put in some sort of compensation package in terms of, looking after the fans, particularly yourself, obviously, who is a season ticket holder, is someone who loves the club, who regularly attends games. I genuinely just think for you guys, feel for you guys, and I think that there is compensation there. I think there is a lack of loyalty to the fans. I think there's a lack of respect to the fans from the board. I think there's a kind of taken for granted as well from the board around the fans. And I think, the fact that obviously season ticket holders cannot afford to attend games because it's been moved to Edinburgh, which is not our home city, which is 48 miles away from our home city, I think is utterly ludicrous. And I think yes, unfortunately, it will have to happen because of the fact that there is no alternatives. We do need a big ground to play in. We cannot play in a small ground, so that rules out several other options. We don't want to share a ground. And I very much doubt this would ever happen. I would never, ever want to play at Celtic Park, ever. That is an absolute disgrace. Look, whether it's the fact that we ask the SPFL, and I don't think they'll do this, that we play all our first few games in the league away from home. There is no home games initially in August until September, and that we do have to use Murrayfield for Champions League qualifiers. That is a possibility, I suppose, but I can't see the league agreeing to that. Now, look, Stephen, I said I really feel for you. I really genuinely do. And I do think that there is a lack of loyalty from the club. I think the My Jersey scheme as well has shown a lack of loyalty to certain fans as well who invest vast sums of money in the club, through purchasing merchandise, obviously. So, I do think the board need to address this. And I hope that John Bennett, I don't hold much hope out, will do something to compensate these loyal fans like Stephen. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. Obviously, please smash that sub. As always, on the way out, 2 favours, please. Number 1, smash that like. And number 2, remember always, we are the people.